From News 8, your local news source, this is breaking news.
We are all over breaking news tonight. A standoff between protesters and police ending with a sign of support. Police walking with a large group of demonstrators who marched from downtown Indianapolis toward the governor's mansion.
Yes, in 5 miles they covered. This standoff lasted for a little more than a half hour until protesters pleaded with officials to join them. And you see there, some of them did. We saw protesters shaking hands, hugging officers, walking together arm in arm. It was a beautiful thing to see. We have team coverage tonight. First, we're going to go to Dan Klein. Dan, you walked with those protesters tonight.
And this was just such an incredible scene. Where I'm standing right now, about an hour ago, it was a line of police. They had the riot gear on, they had the masks just lined up right here on 46th and Meridian. In fact, they even went up the hill all the way up to the house nearby. Such tense moments as they stood there watching those protesters come this way. They had come all the way from downtown, almost 5 miles, walking north on Illinois, again, all the way up to the governor's mansion here at 46th and Meridian. Several hundred, perhaps 200 or so. There was some cars involved, additional people who were not walking but riding along, coming up Illinois, and they went past 38th, took right onto 39th, and then they started coming up Meridian. And as we stood here watching it happen, we just weren't sure what was going to happen next. There was neighbors, there's people along the street, both on Illinois and Meridian, out to the edge of their property, standing here, unsure, perhaps supporting the protesters, perhaps just wanting to see what would happen next. And then it was just a standoff. You could see 200, perhaps 300, maybe even a little bit more protesters standing in the street, a little bit in the grass. There were some in the cars immediately behind those folks. They were chanting. You could hear the honks as people were supporting them along the road and along the route. There was, as they walked up there, then it was a line versus the crowd, and you knew that with the governor's mansion here, that state police and IMPD that was here were not going to back down. They certainly were going to protect the state property here. They gave a 5-minute warning to the crowd. Obviously, this is well past the curfew, and in fact, as there was a few people who were walking hands up slowly. At one point, there were a couple of shots, perhaps of pepper balls sent right at the feet of those people, warning them, do not come any further. And at one point, there was even a rock tossed from the crowd in the back that actually hit one of the police cars and bounced away. And you could just feel the tension in the air, a helicopter in the air, again, a line of police and that crowd of protesters. And the leader of those protesters, a man named Malik Muhammad, we're going to hear from him in just a second. He would walk up, he talked to police several times, several discussions, and finally, and it was just one of those things where you just didn't know how this was going to end, and then there was some handshakes, and they actually pled with police to come and walk with them down Meridian, and just the tenor changed with that handshake. And we talked about this afterwards. Was it kind of gradual? Was it immediate? It's hard to process even now exactly just how this happened, but led by an IMPD lieutenant, there was a hug, there was cheers from protesters it's just relief. It was just a breath of fresh air here at 46 and Meridian just about maybe 45 minutes ago, as they were walking down Meridian hand in hand, arm in arm. Lieutenant saying, he hasn't slept in 4 days, so he's just going to walk 1 block, but just pleading with protesters, let's have this end peacefully. So as they walked arm in arm down in between the cars even, there was talk of this just moment as he reminded, hey, we are one community. This looting and this destruction dilutes the message, the powerful message that these protesters are trying to present. I talked with Malik afterwards. He said he was ready to die, and take a listen to what he said just moments after he and the lieutenant had separated ways. Take a listen.
I thought, and I was 100% ready and willing to die right there for this cause. And I never in a million years thought I would embrace a cop like that. But
what got you to that point? What brought you from willing to die to an embrace?
These people. I'm willing to die, but I don't want them to die. So I wanted us to peacefully march away. I wanted to find the best way to peacefully march away. These people wanted to march with the police. They wanted the police to show solidarity. I love the fact that they showed solidarity.
And Malik talks about having mixed emotions, having watched some of the things that really hurt his soul in the last couple of nights, but seeing the de-escalation tonight, he seems conflicted. And as I talked with several protesters, you know, they didn't know how this was going to end at all. They were scared, disbelief, in fact, on how this all ended. So, you know, certainly we would hope that this is, you know, a history-making moment, that things have changed for the better in a permanent fashion, but certainly only time will tell, both tonight and in the days and nights to come. Reporting live outside the governor's mansion, Dan Klein, Wish TV, wishtv.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook.
Dan, thank you. And we also have reaction from the police that were there, some city leaders.
Yeah, Dan had a chance to talk with them as they were walking as well. Look.
This is what it's all about. Get your voices heard, but as a responsibility, listen up. As a responsibility, listen up. Your message gets lost when we turn violent. Our message gets lost when you destroy Indianapolis. Keep it peaceful. Be heard. Get your voice heard for the change that you want to see in the world. But do it the right way. Right?
This is unprecedented, but the fact that IMPD and state police are willing to walk with these protesters, I think shows incredible solidarity. I think they came here to peacefully protest. We don't want to see any arrests tonight. We don't want to see any violence. And if that's what it takes to show solidarity between these protesters, our police, and our community, then tonight we're going to witness something that we haven't seen yet during the course of these protests.
And we continue our coverage tonight with News 8's Julia Dang. She spoke with people there in the crowd.
Julia, what was their message to police?
Well, Phil, I talked to a protester here who actually confronted two IMPD officers who came out here and walked with them. Like many people in the crowd and people who were watching from home, she was touched by their willingness to engage with protesters. But she tells me walking and talking with them is not enough. Hearing why they're angry is only the first step. Protesters say they want action, and they want leaders with the power to take action to engage with them too. The protesters I talked to say they did not see the governor come out here tonight, even though they were in front of the governor's mansion. They say they would welcome not only Governor Holcomb, but the mayor and the police chief to come and march with them peacefully.
That's just how I feel about it. But I appreciate y'all speaking, and I appreciate the police who walk with us as well. It is one step, but it's not enough. And he said that he might not even come back out here tomorrow. Well, you ain't as dedicated as us. We won't change. I don't know what you want. You want to go home. That's why you walk with us, because you want to go home.
And the crowd here was, of course, violating curfew, but they packed up and said they were heading home by about 9:30. It has been quiet here for about 15 minutes now, and protest leaders tell me they have no plans to continue demonstrating later tonight. Back over to you guys.
Good news, Julia. Thank you very much. Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears says that he's not filing charges against dozens of nonviolent people who were arrested both Friday and Saturday nights.
But Chief Randall Taylor says that the arrests were legitimate of these protesters. 41 people's charges are being dropped, though, after Mears says they were not harming people or doing damage to property. 14 people have been charged with burglary for breaking in and taking things. Each decision was made by a case-by-case basis. Mears says he doesn't want to penalize people for exercising their constitutional right.
I hope that this sends a message to the community that we're going to encourage peaceful protest and that we're going to respect people's right to protest. And as long as you are nonviolent, you're not going to have any problems from the Marion County Prosecutor's Office, and we're going to protect that right.
Now, whether or not Prosecutor Mears decides to actually file those charges, that's apparently he's made a decision not to, and that's certainly up to him. Prosecutor Mears and I feel have a good relationship.
Many of the arrests that were made would be on charges like disorderly conduct.
Well, there's now an internal investigation into some of the arrests downtown after the curfew. Our cameras caught one of the arrests of two women last night. Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett said this has serious concerns for him about just how some of the police officers interacted with the crowds. He says they will investigate and that the city has plans to make changes to its police review board if needed.
Whatever needs to be investigated has been. Those investigations will begin and continue. And if there's any officer who has acted inappropriately, the chief will be given a recommendation of discipline.
The mayor also called on IMPD's Police Chief Randall Taylor to propose an update to guidelines on how police use force within the next 2 weeks. Taylor says the police department is reviewing the use of tear gas on a group of peaceful protesters. Stay with Wish TV for more coverage of this weekend's protest. We have much more online at wishtv.com, including videos, photos, and reaction.
And we do want to get you ahead of the weather as we head into your Tuesday, your Monday night into Tuesday. Here's a live look over downtown Indianapolis. Oh, 69 degrees, and it has just felt wonderful today.
The last 3 days have been pretty much perfect, and unfortunately, it's going to get a lot warmer.
Yes, if summer and humidity isn't, that's not your thing, then I don't know, buckle up.
Right, right.
Ashley Brown is what?
Ashley, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, lots of heat and humidity moving forward. We'll have days and days of just hot and humid weather. But for now, you know, tonight's pretty comfortable overall. We had a few showers here and there tonight, but hey, they were quick moving, didn't really ruin our night. Moved through the area. They were downtown here for maybe 20 minutes as we saw a quick moving shower. All right, so we're dry for now. No longer seeing those showers as we look outside. Monument Circle, pretty quiet there. Weather looking good here as we hold steady in the 60s and 70s throughout the area. We're going to remain dry tonight and dry for much of the day tomorrow. 69 degrees for Indianapolis right now. Temperatures at 67 for you there in Kokomo. Currently at 69 for Indy, 69 for Shelbyville, 71 for Bedford. So 60s and 70s here overnight. Upper 50s. So this is cooler than last night. Some cooler air beginning to work in here tonight. Air remains dry as we talked about tomorrow. If you're headed out and about, just know we're going to bring the heat. 80-degree heat, so much warmer air in place today. The 70s tomorrow, the upper 80s, matching some of the warmest air of the year so far. A mix of sun and clouds throughout the day for you. More sunshine during the afternoon hours. And here's the key to this warm-up. Winds pick up. See winds moving in out of the south at about 15 to 25 miles per hour. Wind gusts even stronger. Those strong gusty winds allows temperatures to warm to the upper 80s. As we warm to the upper 80s on Tuesday, just know that 90-degree heat just around the corner. We're going to track that 90-degree heat and the next chance for showers and storms coming up. Over to you.
Ashley, thank you. Business owners in downtown Indy are working to rebound from damage caused during the weekend riots. One person describes the hours his shop was targeted.
You're watching Wish TV, Indiana's only statewide TV news network.